My name is Yosvany Terry, which here sounds Yosvany, but in Cuba sounds Yosvany. Now I live in New York since 1999, October. That it was when I decided to move out here. But I grew up in Camagüey. I went to school there, and then I finished all my studies in Havana at the National Art School. My older brother and I, we started then when I was 5, he was 6 years old. So I started with the violin, and then it was not until I was 10 years that I switched to the saxophone. In '99, I wanted to make my own band because I always had my own band in Cuba, and I quickly realized that that was the way in order to really have your voice out and also to make an impression or to make a print within the jazz community here in New York. And so I decided to make my own band, and at that time I spoke to Dell at the Jazz Gallery. So they didn't have music in regular basis at that time. So we started on Thursdays, and then later on he called it the Jazz Cubano.
I first met Yosvany in Cuba. I started going to Cuba in '96, and I encountered an enormous wealth of musicians, and I was blown away. Of course, there were major figures, Chucho Valdez, Changuito, Anga, Tata Güemes, it goes on and on and on. Yosvany was not a major figure in my mind. When I first went there, I didn't know who he was. But I did meet him then. I was impressed by his ability. At the time, I only knew him as an alto saxophone player, and I knew that he was dedicated, and I know that he was talented. When he moved to New York, and he was available here, and we talked, I thought, Yosvany is important as a musician in a number of ways. He's dedicated, he's talented, and he's multi-instrumental. Not only is he multi-instrumental, the second instrument that he plays, chacaré, is such a distinctively Afro-Cuban instrument. And he plays it coming out of a tradition that he has absorbed from childhood, literally. His father, Don Pancho Terry, is the chacaré player of Cuba. That's how he is known. Well, just week after week, Yosvany brought in talented people. And it gave the Jazz Gallery a kind of identity that it hadn't had before, but in fact one that was important to me as the founder and director. The fact of the matter is that I'm an anthropologist by training, and my work was done in West Africa. And one of the interests that I always had was what in the end, how do you sort out the relationship between West African music and jazz? I knew it was there, but what exactly is it, and what are various forms of it? Well, hello, there's Cuba, and there's Afro-Cuban music.
last year, in 2007, I had the necessity to really form the Afro-Cuban project, Afro-Cuban Roots, in which I was working with all the different elements that were a big part of the legacy of the Yoruba culture in Cuba. Therefore, I decided to use all the three batas, which is like the sacred drums of the Yoruba religion, and start using the material for all the different deities that they have. So it was important, in order to best represent that, to have a dancer really making all the movement and representing the different energy and the different quality and the movement directly from the deities. Let's say when it was dancing from Shango or Shun or Ogun, you would see actually the way that they would manifest within the music context and also within the ceremony.
I would say that one of the things that came to be a drawback with regard to the series Jazz Cubano is that there were Yosvany and Daphnis, as Daphnis came to be more active in it, was not really comfortable in being pigeonholed as Cuban. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm Cuban, I'm proud of it. Any Cuban is proud of being Cuban. But that's not all we're doing here. We're also looking at the frontiers of this music, regardless of where it comes from. Of course, we're going to engage our traditions, but that's not all we're going to do.